Oh, you're gonna go
Ooh.
live on YouTube?
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
So this is the steps that they told me to do. And
What's the name of your YouTube channel? Kathleen O
uh
or
it's Writings by K. Osborne.
that's right, writings.
Okay, it took me to it oh it took me to her.
Oh,
No, no.
you know, it would help if I spelled it correctly.
Okay. And
Uh,
that's not good. Well, we can see I did something wrong.
Oh, well, it was there.
Oh, let's see. You're supposed to go to your Google account, which I did do, and then manage your, well, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Manage your account. And then you're supposed to click on one of your videos that, see, where is it? Oh, is everybody still there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Your channel.
So I'm on
I
your
think it's working.
your YouTube.
Yeah, I think I was should have used this one up here, but I'm not.
You're live.
I'm live. Okay. Okay, so we're live.
We.
How do I
Yeah.
get us up here though? That's the problem.
Get us up where?
Uh, we're on the main screen.
Yeah, so like if you click on your little circle, right, it has like live. It takes us to the the little stream that you have, the live stream.
There we go.
See it?
Yeah, there we are. Here we are. Okay. All right. So we're on, and I can go back to Zoom, right? And yes, got it. It says it's going to a third party,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to stay here because this is where I know to change
Oh,
everything.
what's up, JB?
Hi, Jane.
Hey, Jane,
You are mute.
you're muted, love.
You are mute.
Should I change my name, or can you change my name to a letter B?
I can. Hold on just a second.
It's a good thing we're early.
Yeah.
Give it a bop, 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 bop.
Toot toot.
I thought I could.
Ah,
Here it goes. Here it goes. Let me see. Rename.
Remind me how you chose your pen name.
Aletta is my middle name, and when I was little, they called me Janie B because I would run around buzzing.
Okay.
Also, the last name Bolton is B too.
Gotcha. All right, that
Yeah.
works. I like that.
Aletta is also an author.
Oh.
Sherry. Sherry's a friend of mine that lives up here in the mountains. And she's an artist.
Ah,
Hello.
an animal
What,
lover.
what is
And an
the
animal lover.
adorbs? What's the medium of your art, Sherry?
Mostly watercolor. I do color pencil. I quilt.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does beautiful work. She specializes in angels.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Shall I show an angel?
Yeah. Why don't you
Okay.
get one and show it? And I'm going to record now.
What kind of oh
oh, that's sweet.
wow.
That's watercolor, and she's holding a globe. Oh. Yep, there she is.
Oh fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Love that. And that's on canvas, it looks like.
Yeah, I stretch my own watercolor paper
Wow.
on,
Ah.
no, it's not on canvas, it's on watercolor paper. But
Right.
I stretch my own watercolor paper and then they don't have to be framed.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's super dope.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fun.
because framing's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Mhm.
I've had this giant painting for like 10 years because I don't want to spend $727.41
Yeah,
on the frame for it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known how much it cost before I said yes, I want to buy this painting.
Uh-huh.
That might have informed my decision a little bit.
Oh.
Well,
Let me just take a picture.
Well,
of
you're
it.
a man of all talents. You could probably make one.
I probably could make one, but
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to trust myself on the size of this painting as my first
Mhm.
frame, you know?
Well,
I
my
see.
daughter was an artist in high school, and she took Best of Show in Riverside County, which is one of the biggest
Wow.
counties in California,
Yeah.
Wow.
as a sophomore. And it was pencil stipulated, and then you use a tissue paper over it to smear it to get the different shadings and stuff. And we had it hermetically sealed and framed, and that was a
That's cool.
surprise.
Kathleen, I noticed that it says custom live streaming service. What is that?
It's just one of the boxes you tick on Zoom
Okay.
for custom live is an area you can put it custom live, YouTube, Meta, MetaMesh,
Twitch?
Facebook, Twitch. Yeah, you can
Nice.
Twitch too. Hmm.
Discord? You can probably
Yeah.
go live on Discord,
I
huh?
think you can to Discord, and that's again where it would be the custom live.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So it's 10 o'clock. Do you want to
Yes.
begin or do you want to wait a couple more minutes just in case anybody else comes?
Let me just check my inbox and see if I've got anything from Jerry.
Excellent.
I don't. So let's do, let me pull it up here. I'm trying to remember where I put it. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just do it this way. Because back here, do that one too. Where did I hide it? I have a spinning wheel, believe it or not. And I had left it on my background
yeah.
someplace on one of them. Maybe it was opera.
Within the first 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, here, while you're looking for that, I will begin.
Okay.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. Welcome everybody. Everyone here currently and everyone in the future who's watching this on demand later on. We are celebrating the book launch of The King of Onus, the first book in the Chronicles of Onus, written by Kathleen Osborne. Kathleen has lived a storied life, a military veteran, mom, a grandma, a baker. Did you know she bakes? Delicious. She's a writer as well, published. And this is her first foray into full-length novels, The King of Onus. It is a series, like I mentioned, the first book of the Chronicles of Onus. And so there are more planned in the future, as well as another book outside of this that she's currently working on. Welcome, everybody, to the book launch. Welcome, Kathleen. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We are so excited to share this moment with you and participate in this launch party event. Kathleen,
Yes.
would you please say hello to the peoples?
Hi, I hope everybody can see me while I'm busy trying to find our Wheel of Fortune or Wheel of Names, as it's technical names. It's such a pleasure to see everybody. I'm so excited to have you here, and let's see what I'm ready to spin.
Okay, so what she's talking about is we are going to be giving away some prizes during this event. The options are there's an ebook, there's a hardcover copy, there's a paper copy. There are 2 quote prints, as well as
Mhm.
a 1 hour coaching session with Kathleen herself. A session on writing, it is valued at a whopping $150. So we are very excited to be sharing this moment with the prizes and with everybody. So Kathleen is sharing her screen. This is the
Oh,
spinner.
yep.
Let's see who
And
wins first
this is for one of
prize.
the quotes. So I'm going to show you the where did I hide them now? I put it. I know. I'll do this. This is one, and it's coming up. And it's called The Dreams, or Dreams Are. And then there's another one, All Sorrows. And I guess I'm going to spin first because it's taking so long for it to come up.
Mhm.
So we'll spin. And then whoever wins, this is the early, being early here. So Anna, you won.
Congratulations, Anna. Woo!
Yay!
And this is a special
Okay,
drawing, so
yeah.
we're not going to remove your name because you're going to be in for the rest of, for the next drawing too. Okay. So now let me see if I can find this one. There's an error opening this document. Of course, there's an error opening the document. Of course. Mhm.
While she works on that, let's take a moment. Has anyone read any of Kathleen's works before?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes, short stories,
Mm,
science fiction, lovely short stories.
excellent. Excellent. So based on your reading of Kathleen's work, what is something that you have gleaned from her through her works?
Um, I enjoy reading the way she describes the characters. They are, although they are aliens, they are they come out being very lively, like someone, your next door neighbor.
Mm.
They are very well expressed, very well described.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Spoiler alert. The King of Onus is a space, almost heist story. It's a love story. There is intrigue. There is a lot of yearning, if you will, and essentially almost a battle with fate itself, trying desperately to fall within the lines of expectation for the safety of the multiverses, right?
Yep. Yep.
There we go. So,
Okay.
excellent.
One of the pictures came up.
Excellent.
This one is, let me screen share again to this one. Gonna make me do it all over again. Yeah, this is one. This is one of them. Can you guys see
Beautiful.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay, so Anna, you get your choice between this one and the next one I'm trying to pull up, which is, should come up here. I had not planned on it taking this long, as you can tell.
So good. So we caught a glimpse of this one. Kathleen, what can you tell us about the impact this quote has had on you, and why is it important in this moment to share it with others?
This one here that we're looking at right now, dreaming after all is a form of planning. It's real hard for me to do an outline and follow it because I do have dreams. I do have visions, if you will, of what could be. And they don't always follow a linear line. They jerk from here to there. And so dreaming, after all, is a form of planning for me. I dream. When I was with Mary Kay, one of the quotes that they had from her was, if you can dream it and believe it, you can achieve it.
Yep.
And I fully believe that. We limit ourselves when we say we can only go beyond this, or we can't go beyond such and such. And one of the things that I grew up with, my father was an entrepreneur. He was a salesman. He was a salesman. He was a surveyor. He did whatever needed to be done to put food on the table for us. And mom worked too. We were one of the first families in the neighborhood to be a latchkey kids. But he always told us, even as girls, that there was nothing we couldn't do. We were the only thing that would stop us. No one else could. And that was rare in the 50s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very rare. So I've always had that in the back of my mind. I can do whatever I set my mind out to do. It might take me longer. You know, even the dream might be buried so deep because of other things, but eventually it comes out.
Piggybacking off of what your pops said about how you are essentially the only thing that can get in your way, do you ever find that when you're writing a villain, that you are like, do you ever embody any facets of the villain as you're writing the story, kind of putting yourself in that place to be the stumbling block for your heroes?
It's real hard for me to do that because like most people, you always have times that you get depressed, you get down. But I'm basically a very optimistic person. So, and I am not a mean person. Once in a while, I might find a situation where I just want to, in my imagination, cut somebody to bits, and then sew them up incorrectly. But I could never do that. It hurts me to do that. So sometimes, like I had one passage in King of Onus, that one chapter, and my editor sent me a note. She says, everybody is so nice and so good. You got to have some bad in there somewhere.
Right.
So trying to interject a bad characteristic in one of my characters was really hard for me.
Have you ever toyed with the notion of adversaries feeling completely justified in their positions and just having diametrically opposed positions to one another? So to avoid the super evil kind of character trope, do you ever have characters that are like fierce adversaries, but in their own heart believe they're doing good?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the sequel to the next book that's going to be published.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But the first chapter, or not the first chapter, but the first book has that somewhat. It's a whole race that thinks that what they're doing is perfectly natural and perfectly fine because they're superior to everybody else, and they're all just cow dung under their feet.
Wow.
And so any way they treat us is fine, but it's not. And when Earth wakes up and says, oh my gosh, there is such a thing as there is evil covered and something that seems so good.
Hmm.
and then they declare war and we have no defense against them.
Hmm.
So that is one of the, I can see that. I see that every day in our because people justify themselves for their evilness. Nobody
Hmm.
wants to face the fact that what they've done is wrong. I don't
Hmm.
like admitting I'm wrong. I will. I don't like it.
Hmm.
And I have to talk sternly to myself to, you can't get away with those things.
Hmm.
But I also had an upbringing in faith that God knows everything. So you can't hide anything from him. You can lie
Hmm.
to yourself, but you can't lie to him.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth or your mind, he knows.
Hmm.
So eventually I absolutely admit when I've done something wrong, when I'm screwed up.
Hmm.
But not everybody has that or knows
With
that.
with your faith as a backdrop, how do you reconcile like your own understanding of forgiveness, and how do you avoid kind of falling into the trap of laying your own understanding of forgiveness onto the situations that you write to maintain certain levels of conflict for the purpose of progressing a story?
I think the biggest thing I have is I understand that forgiveness doesn't mean forget. Forgiveness means that you understand, and until you have proof that they have changed, they don't get trust. They can have your forgiveness, but not your trust.
So what then is forgiveness?
Forgiveness means that I understand where you're coming from. I don't like it, but I understand it. And I can accept that that is your view. But that doesn't mean I have to believe it. Forgiveness doesn't mean that I have to change my viewpoint.
Exactly.
So that,
Okay.
I'm about to turn 3.
50.
I wish, but
Mhm.
it just it's taken a long time to understand. One of the things I learned was my sister was an addict and she went to counseling,
Mm.
and she shared it with all of us that she found out that you can love somebody but not be able to live with them.
Mm.
And that's kind of like forgiveness, but not having the trust yet. Oh, it doesn't mean that you have to be open to slights and all of that other stuff. You have to understand that when they start stepping on your toes in a harsh way, that it's okay to say, we can either change the subject or I can leave
Mm.
with a smile. You don't have to stay.
Mhm.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that sounds like an example of strong boundaries,
Hmm.
setting up markers where like the interactions can be A, B, or C, and then you respond to them. Right on, right on. So what's going from there? We'll ask one more question before we get into the next prize. The writings that you do, I remember in conversations that you and I have had in the past, you made mention of how a lot of the motivation for your writing is to create this catalog of works that can be passed down through your family, right? It's meant to tell stories to the grandkids and great grandkids and great great grandkids you haven't yet met. What are some of the great inspirations of your life that you put into your work?
Actually, I don't think there's a lot that I've done of that. Um, what I want to hand down is finances.
Mm,
To have, you know, that and the knowledge that, oh, did you know your great 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 grandmother was a writer and she wrote all these books and they were well received.
mm,
And I'm hoping that, and they won awards. You know, when you've only got one, you
mm,
are still projecting that you'll have them. So, but I don't, because I've had some encounters that I'm not sure whether they were actually out of this world, out of the spirit. Yes, I believe I've had some doubt encounters. I've had some evil encounters. I mean, just pure unadulterated evil dripped off of them.
mm,
Um, but I don't know that I've had an alien encounter. I'm believe in it because I had a very wonderful older woman take me under her wing. And she said, you know, there's nothing in the Bible that says that dinosaurs never were. What it says, God said, was, I will never send water again. Notice water again to destroy the earth
mm,
or the people. He never said, um, this is the first time I've done it and I'm going to do it. He's been around a long time. We haven't. And so there's millions of years to this planet. And I believe that there is, if there's life here, there's life elsewhere. And I think we all will find that there are so many similarities, maybe not physically, but there are social similarities. Because if you look at animals, when they study the animals' behavior and the human behavior, the things that make their society work are all the same.
mm.
They don't accept the evil, the violent within them, in their group, just like we can't. So, in that sense, I don't know. I feel like I wandered. Sorry.
Yeah, so like I was asking like what are some of the inspirations? So some of the maybe spiritual experiences that you've had are inspirations for the storytelling, especially
Actually,
this book that involves like otherworldly entities and such.
more of that is just watching people.
Hmm.
I think I got that from my mom. My mom was a people watcher,
Hmm.
and I watched people, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a story there. Or take, for example, let me just get something. I did an event in the spring in another town, and there was this, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's a triangle like a pyramid, and it looks like there's a ball floating in it,
Hmm.
and it looks like there's a world underneath it that's covered in glass. Now, these are actually like chakra alignment crystals or whatever. But to me, I looked at that. That is a story. That's a world that either can be transported from one universe to another because it's covered, or that dome was put over it to seal it off. It's a prison,
Hmm.
or it's dying and they have to break out of that seal that was supposed to be a protection.
Mm.
So I saw immediately 3 stories. I had to have it because there's 3 stories there.
Wow. That's great.
That's where I get my inspiration, seeing that,
Mm.
how people interact,
Hmm.
even movies, cartoons can give me ideas.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
All right. So let's go ahead and roll for the second prize of the session.
Okay.
May I see the second picture before that?
I haven't pulled it up. I've been able to pull it up for some reason. I'm going to try one more thing and see if it will come up that way. This one. Come on, here it comes. Can you see that?
No, we still see the dreaming slide.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get here. Stop sharing. And now share.
Oh,
Aletta gave me this one.
That's beautiful.
Mm. Before we roll that wheel, what can you tell us about the impact this quote has had on you?
This one here reminds me of my goddaughter. She's had stage 4 cancer for now 11 years.
oh,
Wow.
She
Good for her. What a
journals.
fighter.
Yeah, she is. She's a real fighter. And during that time, her husband got cancer also. And he doesn't have any right now, but he can't work. So they're fighting to get his disability reinstated. But anyway, she journals all of that. And I want her to write a book because there is such encouragement that would come from her story. And I told her I would help her write it. That when I see this, that's what I think of. I think of the people that have faced such hardships, so much sorrow. If they could put that down in words, maybe they couldn't write it, but somebody else could. And help somebody. You know, it's like you're climbing a hill and somebody leaning down and handing them their hand to help you up out of that valley. So that's what it means to me.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Let's
Okay.
move on to prize number 2.
Yes, let me stop sharing and get to prize. Look at that. There it is. Yes. First time. And I think this should be an ebook.
All right. And this is the ebook of the King of Onus. First book
Share
of the
of
Chronicles of Onus.
King of Onus. Yes. Sherry, do you have a e-reader?
I have a Kindle. Is that an e-reader?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so I will send you one.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Okay, and so now you're going to get removed. You'll get added back in, okay? For the final.
So everyone has a chance to win one of the small prizes, and then everyone together will have a chance to win the grand prize.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool beans.
Excellent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read an excerpt from the book.
Oh, good.
Kathleen, if you would like to introduce this excerpt, and then I will get to reading.
Okay. I have read excerpts from this book, but never this particular one. And I think a man's voice carries it so much better. So I asked Daniel if he would read. And this is in the
with
first.
my man's voice.
Yes, yeah, with his man voice. and it's within the first chapter of the book.
Excellent. Here we
D.
go. Pam's limo driver, Ezras Bonley, leaned against his vehicle, throwing a glance toward the entrance of the restaurant, where he dropped off his fare. He had stuck around after dropping Pam at the restaurant and had bribed one of the waiters to let him watch her and Jody eat the first part of their dinner. They should have been done by now. Frustrated, he checked the time. 2 minutes had passed. Great. He saw a group of males approaching the entrance from another direction. Their presence could cause him to be late. The urge to pace was overwhelming. He forced himself to stand still as he waited for Pam and her friend to come out. Time was of the essence. He had to get her home. He took a deep breath and let it out. Where in the 10 moons of Omni are those women? It is too early for them to be taken. The timing has to be perfect. This will be my only opportunity to get my mate. The group of males went in, and another came out, stood to the side, and chatted in small groups. A few left. The rest seemed to wait for something. At least one man in each small group would look at the door, then join back in their conversation. What is taking so long? Slipped out of his mouth with a mutter. He'd been standing there for 10 minutes. Time was running out. Loud catcalls and whistles drew his attention to the front doors. It was them. Both looked stunning as they walked gracefully toward the valet station. He wanted to wipe his forehead, but with his curious passenger, she would ask him, what was wrong? He pictured his father and the king of his people, Reginald Bonley, after dinner, sitting and discussing the importance of his actions today. His father told him to keep the two women separated. When the kidnappers arrived, only Jane was to go, and if they were together, they would steal them, and he'd never have his true mate. In order for Jody to be his, she must be on her own. This way, he could snatch her and get her off Earth. Then he would be the first one of his race in centuries to find his true mate. Smiling to himself as he pictured her traveling the star systems and the time with him, he was sure once she got over being kidnapped, she would love his family and nation. There were so few of them left, only 100 still alive throughout the universes. They were the only species that could travel back and forth when intervention was needed for all the worlds. Just gazing at her from the dining room, Entry told him she was perfect for him. Goddess, he hoped she would forgive him for kidnapping her and love him as much as he already loved her. As for Pam, his ancestors, who had seen some of the future, she said she had to go with the tiare or havoc would reign. Unfortunately, his people, the Lunas, had tricked the leadership of the tiare into kidnapping the women and keeping them in stasis during the trip. If they didn't pick her up or she didn't make it, planets and possibly a universe would be lost. Smiling, he shut the door after Pam was seated and got behind the wheel. While he pulled into traffic, he reminded her there was free champagne and some snacks in the center console for her. Through his rearview mirror, he glanced back at her. She was on her second drink and was eating something. Her attention diverted, he drove around town for an extra 15 minutes without her noticing. A low beep from his wrist told him he was on time as he pulled up in front of her building. The doorman opened her door and handed her out. As soon as she was clear, he left to go get his true mate.
Thank you.
Oh,
Good job, Kate.
good job.
Yeah, I'm ready for the rest.
All right, Kathleen, what can you tell us about this piece?
Okay, this piece, it's all about Jody and Pam were both orphaned, and they found each other through the system of foster families. Both are very attractive young girls. They were attacked by foster fathers and foster brothers and stuff like that, and they survived, and the attacks were not successful. Pam has always been royalty. Her family was in Europe, and Russia took over with the okay from the rest of the world, their little country. And with it, they took all the wealth, all the money, the family money. So when they were taken, their land was taken from them, their people was taken from them. They had no money, and the US said, you can come and stay here, but we can't pay you. We can't give you all this stuff that you were used to. And none of the other royals would have anything to do with them. So when her parents were killed, she ended up in the foster system.
Hmm.
And that's why it's so vital for her. She's already been trained to be a queen. So she knows what's going to be expected of her. Whereas Jody was inquisitive. She's a newspaper person. And what's not known in this book, and it's a spoiler alert for the second one, she is the press secretary to the president. So it's going to
Dang.
give her an in for the second book. So it's going to be her story, her and Ezra's story.
Hmm.
Great.
It's all about the importance for Jody, because she's the only woman that could be a mate for this man. And for Pam, she's the only one that could be a mate for the king that she's being sent to. And she'll be in stasis for not quite 200 years. She will wake up a little bit early and almost die. So that's further on.
Hmm. If you're curious and want to know more, you're gonna have to read it.
Uh-huh.
Sounds really complicated.
You know, I just can't write an uncomplicated, because life is complicated.
Yes.
You don't just have two people, especially when you're talking about traveling across worlds and that. You have, somebody once said you can't have 5 people in the first chapter. Well, I do.
Breaking all the rules.
Yeah,
Like,
break all the
Yeah.
rules. But it's fun. It's fun. And if you write them, and I hope I do, that you don't have to make a list and go back and check, oh yeah, that's this person. Because I know some people write with a lot of characters, but the reader has to keep track of the characters. And I don't want that. I want them to make such an impression on the reader that they remember everything.
Very intriguing, no doubt.
Yes.
what are
Yeah.
what are some of the tricks that you use to almost force an impact on the reader?
I guess it's because I feel like I have to amaze myself and amaze my husband.
No,
Because
I meant, like, what are some of the things that you do in order to impact the reader?
well, one of the things I might
Amazing.
do is go a little bit more in depth. My biggest problem as a writer is I do info dumps, is learning how to trickle in the info dump so it's important to where it's important, and to make the person vulnerable, that they don't even realize what's happening to them, and they don't realize the responsibility that's placed on them until it's right there sitting on them, and then they're like, oh shit,
Right.
or shite, I should say.
Oh, yes. If you swear in British, it's totally fine.
It doesn't count.
Yeah, doesn't count.
No.
So I have a question then for all of you viewers and attendees. What are some things about some of the characters and the stories that you've read that have truly endeared them to you?
Wow.
Wow, that's a tricky question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're asking things that we've read other than
Mhm.
Kathleen's things, because Like, I haven't even read any of her stuff yet.
Yeah. Just like
Okay,
as a
yeah.
practice when you're reading a story, what about characters that are very special to you? What has, drawn them to you? Like if you think of some of your favorite characters from some of the stories that you have read throughout your life, like what about them has drawn them to you?
I like John Sanford. He writes murder mysteries,
Mm,
and he has the same character in a lot of his books. And the detective, he not only does the logical thing, like, the outline and all the connections, but he takes all of that and then he does an intuitive thing with it,
mm,
that there's no obvious thing that points there, but he's put all these things together and made a connection. And
mm,
I that intrigues me to watch how he does
mm.
that. Mhm.
Excellent. Perfect. So, uh, when I'm interviewing people, I like to ask them, um, like a broken down question, something very simple. And I feel like Mr. Rogers has a great question that is important at all, times in our life. And the question for you, Kathleen, is what do you do with the mad that you feel when you're so mad you can bite?
When I'm so mad, I'm so that's when I started baking again.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Is that so you could bite? You could just bite the cookies and the muffins and the
yeah.
things that you bake?
And
Mm.
and as far as with writing goes, I didn't have I needed something that I could just focus on and follow directions. I didn't have to think.
Mm.
And then when I came back from doing that and looked at it, I could make the situation right, cut the anger, uh, or the disappointment or whatever strong emotion was going, frustration,
Mm.
that would go away because I could fix it.
Mm.
I could see the answer then because
Mm.
I just I didn't have to think, I had to follow directions.
Mm.
And so
Do you
that was,
think
and I got something good to eat.
ah, do you think the precise nature of baking helped you kind of take control of the situation because you had
Yeah.
full control from beginning to
Uh,
end of the process of the baking?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, there's so much in our lives that we have no control over.
Mm.
And that men see it to a certain degree. Um, and it's stopped a lot in some situations for women. But in the years that I have been alive, I've been through the transition of women not getting paid, not,
Mm.
the sexual harassment, so horrendous, all of that. Um, to see that we're still not getting the same dollar the man does, unless we're working something like a policeman's job where the salary is reported, or in the military.
Mm.
But we're getting more recognition for what we can do, and it's okay to be a strong woman. But it
Yes.
wasn't okay
Yeah.
to be a strong public woman in the 50s.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not unless you had a lot of dinero,
Mm.
then you could. So,
Is
you
there
know,
more than just Robert?
in my life, yeah, I have a husband and I have 2 kids. I have 5 grandkids and 3 great-grands.
Wow, that's great. One more question, and then we're going to get into the next prize. When you are working on a piece, how do you cast your vision for future projects? Or do you kind of imagine the story kind of unfolding across its full arc and then work on the first piece first and then the second piece next? Or do you have a full story and then once that's done, you can cast a vision for what comes next?
I get the first story and then I get the vision for the second one.
Hmm.
I rarely, like my one that's a trilogy that's coming out March, April of next year.
Hmm.
I thought it was a single book.
Mm.
And, I took it to some people and after editing it and said, look, what do you think? And they said, oh, yeah, you wrote a book, and they handed it back to me. They didn't want to criticize me. They were afraid that it would hurt me. And it probably would have at that time. But they didn't tell me the truth until one gal, she said, you need help. And I found a developmental editor, and she says, well, the big problem, number one, is you got 3 stories stuck in one.
Mm.
And we need to split it out.
Ah.
Mm.
So and then when I wrote the second one, and now I've got to write the third one to it. But it's just, I got the idea for the first one. Actually, I didn't even have an idea. It's almost 4 years to the day that I wrote that book, that I started that book.
Mm.
No, it is, because it was December 19th, 2019, that I told my husband, I said, I think I'm going to write a book. And he says, well, why don't you go ahead and write a book? So I sat down and I wrote a book. and that started me on this journey. It woke up that dream that I had from when I was in junior high to write a
Wow.
book. And it's gonna be published next year.
Wow.
Congratulations. How exciting.
Congrats.
So, but I just sat down. I had no clue, no nothing. It just poured out.
Mm.
Wow.
So before we go on, I want to ask Lynette to unmute herself and say hi, if she can, if she's at her desk. She lives up in Montana.
Ooh.
Mm.
I knew her when I lived in Southern California for several years. We were in the Regional Chamber of Commerce together. It was commerce that had 1,200 members.
Wow.
Because it was regional. Yeah, it was in
Wow.
Riverside County. So, but she was a friend of mine then, and she's a friend of mine now. So she might have stepped away from her desk, but
Mm-hmm.
I put her name on the wheel. So
Okay.
hopefully
Excellent.
it will
Excellent.
come up
Mm-hmm.
right this time. Okay, close. All right. All right, everybody ready? Okay, here we
Yes.
go.
Prize number 3.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. And what I know that, did you pick which one of the pictures you wanted, Anna?
Oh, sorry. The first one. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you want the first one? Okay, so this one would be a step up from that, so that would be an ebook.
Yeah, I ordered the ebook yesterday.
Okay, then how about a signed paperback?
That sounds like a great prize. An autographed paperback copy of the book.
Yep.
How
Yeah.
exciting. And this the prize goes to Anna.
Yes, it goes
Hey,
to Anna.
congratulations, Anna.
Wow, thank you. Yeah.
Signed copy. How exciting.
Okay.
Great. So there's one more prize towards the end. But before we get there, a couple more questions, and then we'll open it up. If you guys have questions for Kathleen, I'd love to hear some of you guys and your thoughts towards her. But Kathleen, I know sometimes when we are creating art, there's a measure of catharsis that it comes from the act of creating. And a lot of times we kind of process some of our traumas through the art. We either like gain understanding of what's happening inside of us as we create. We kind of like let things go and kind of transfer it from ourselves into the medium that we are using to create things. Do you find yourself ever working through your life's traumas on the pages of your books?
I work through things that have happened to me. Yes.
Hmm.
And or something that I've already worked through. I have been diagnosed with PTS from the military and situations within that. And I finally had a really good therapist, not a doctor that just issued pills.
Hmm.
Number one, I was allergic to the pills. Number two, I found the treasure of a good therapist. And she helped me have coping skills. And part of it was, giving it away. And so a lot of times a character of mine might have had something like that happen to them, that issue. And it's them fighting back and overcoming, showing that they can overcome too. It's never them left in that dark period. They always find a way out of it and overcome it. And that's the biggest thing I want to show of any trauma or anything like that, that you too, or they too can overcome. It's not just a figure. Because I don't know about other people when they read, but I get super involved with my characters when I read a book. I get lost. That's why a lot of times people talk to me and I'm in my own world reading this book.
Yep.
And I really take on some of the emotions during the time I'm reading. I don't carry them with me, but it's brought healing to me because of some of the situations they've been. That's why I think people that go through it, if they can write it in some way, it's cathartic, not only for them, but for others that can read it.
Yeah.
Excellent. That being said, and finding ways to kind of like incorporate the things happening inside of us and putting them into our art, how many of the characters that you have created are inspired by real life people, specifically in your life, and not necessarily like figureheads you might encounter in the newspaper or on the television, but people in your own life? How many of them have found their way onto the pages of your works?
Probably about two.
Hmm.
Probably about two. I think sometimes I think we fool ourselves in what we do. And so I might be not recognizing what I've done. So I know I put their names, different people's names in. I borrowed them because I can't think of a name, because most of my books or even short stories, I have to build a world for them.
Yeah.
And that means a language, and that means names. It means religions. It means, all of this stuff. So I have started a book of names that I use.
That's a great idea.
Fantastic.
So you might find your name in one of my books, Steve.
Huh. All right. All right.
Or you, Lynette. By the way, Lynette is on the phone, so she's got no video, but she is listening.
Perfect. All right. So we'll take another about 5 minutes to, if either of you all have questions for Kathleen about the book or about her or whatever, we would love to hear a question or two from you all.
I have a question about the characters. I mean, you've told us now how you describe the interior of your characters. What, you know, your sources and where they come from inside yourself. So that's how you choose your characters. But how do you choose them in their exterior? Do you sit like in a restaurant, in a coffee bar, and you watch people and you decide, oh, this one would be a perfect match for my character, so and so? How do you choose them?
Some of it is watching people. Some of it is actually analytical in the fact I look at what sells in a book. I know with the type of book I write, you know, slender to full-figured women are very in. And big beefy guys up to 7 foot tall are the heroes. You know, something that you can rip a shirt off and everybody goes, ooh. That does play into it. A lot of times the heroine has strawberry blonde hair. That's me or my older sister. That has, you know, so I'll put some of those characteristics in. My husband is a blonde. And so a lot of times my male characters will be blonde. But I am learning to go different from that. One of my favorite writers is, I think her name is M.K. Edam or Diner, Michelle Diner, and she is from Australia. And one of the first books that I read of hers, the character, the world the main character ended up in, they were 7-foot elves. You know, kind of like the Tolkien's elves. You know, very handsome, very buff, all of this stuff. So, you know, that was them. And so I borrow from other books that I read. And I do try and read within my genre so it reinforces what I'm writing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you create a whole different world? You said most you have to create them, yeah, like they're alien. How do you imagine that?
I don't know. I just do. I don't know the science of it. Maybe it's because I've been around my husband for 47 years, 47 and a half years. He plays Dungeons and Dragons. So they have worlds and he manages those. So I'm used to him talking about this happening in this world or him having to build this town and the money. And my son is building a complete world. He's got a map that is probably 6x4 of this world. And he's creating all the bad creatures, the good creatures, having somebody draw them to his specifications, figuring out, you know, all of this and the different types of people that are there. And if you're not one of those, you're not welcome. So
yeah,
you know, all of this. So I've been around that for all these years. My son's just turned, let's see, Angela's 49, so 46. My kids were born on the same day, 3 years apart. So
oh wow,
I can remember how old my daughter is. It's real easy to remember my son. So but it's there are charts that they can give you. You can download and fill the information out that helps. There is a software program that sometimes I like to use for specifically for building a world, because it has in it, what kind of deities do you have? Or what kind of government do you have? Monarchy, diplomat, or democratic, blah, blah, goes on from that. How many
But
races
kind of like a
do you have?
recipe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can just fill in the blocks. But it is, the hardest part is trying to figure out what they look like. Like
Ooh.
the part that Dee read, the Tajars, they are, they look like frogs, but they stand up on two hind feet, and they have suction cups
Oh,
on the end of their fingers.
That is absolutely
know?
not terrifying at all.
Not at all.
Not even a little bit terrifying. A giant frog person with suction cups. Mm.
Yeah. But it's, trying to find somebody that can draw something to your specifications or your imagination to fit that, then that is the challenge.
All right. Before our time is up, let us spin that wheel for the
Okay.
grand prize.
For the grand prize.
Give it a bop. And again, the grand prize is a 1 hour long coaching session on writing
Ooh.
with Kathleen herself.
And I'm going to have to take her off because she just left. Whoops. So if it lands on her, it's going to get redone. Oh, and it did. I'm so sorry, Jane. Aletta, I'm sorry. So we're going to remove her.
We still could give her the
Why
prize.
can't she still have it?
She
I mean,
still
she
have
was
it.
with us the whole time.
I'm going to give her a signed paperback. But this is for the signed hardback. Wow. Anna.
All right.
Running the gamut over
There you
here,
go,
Anna. Just
Anna.
winning all the
Yeah,
prizes.
I need,
Yeah.
we all need to sit next to you in Vegas.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll let you pull all of my slots all the time. You can win me all the monies.
oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, Aletta just said she had to leave for another Zoom meeting, so she'll be on that. But I can't thank you all enough for being here.
Oh, it was delightful.
Yeah,
I've had a great time with you all.
all the great success that you deserve. That
Yes.
the book, the story is very intriguing, amazing.
Oh, thank you. And thank
Yeah.
you, Lynette. I see that
Oh,
emoji.
yeah. Great.
Okay.
Excellent. So for everyone watching and everyone here, thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. We are celebrating Kathleen's launch of King of Onus, the first book in the Chronicles of Onus. You can buy it on Amazon currently for 99 cents for the Kindle copy through Kindle Unlimited. And you can buy it with one click. Super easy, super easy. Go on, get on there, buy yourself a copy. For those of you that have won copies, congratulations. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Kathleen, for sharing with us your words and your story. And we're excited to see the next books that are on the pipeline.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Dee.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.